The federal government officially rated a bridge on one of America's busiest interstates as basically intolerable, and then left it open for decades. That bridge is the Calcasieu River Bridge in Lake Charles, Louisiana, carrying 90,000 vehicles a day across Interstate 10, doubling as the only hurricane evacuation route for an entire region. For longer than the majority of its regular drivers have been operating a vehicle, it has been a listed safety hazard. This is how it got that bad, and what a $2.4 billion replacement is finally doing about it. Built for what? The Calcasieu River Bridge did not become dangerous by accident. The danger was drafted into the blueprints before a single beam went up. When engineers designed the bridge in the late 1940s, they built it to crest at 152 feet above the river. That height was not a mistake. It was a bet. Planners expected the Calcasieu River to be dredged deep enough for ocean-going vessels to travel further inland. Reaching new docks and refineries, they were confident would be built along the banks. A taller bridge would give those ships the clearance they needed to pass underneath. It was logical, forward-thinking, and completely wrong. The ships never came. The dredging never happened. But the grade was already locked into the structure permanently, and every vehicle that has climbed that span since 1952 has been paying for a future that never arrived. The bridge opened that year as part of US Highway 90, a two-lane crossing built for roughly 37,000 vehicles a day. That was the world it was designed for. Then the interstate highway system expanded through Louisiana, and the Calcasieu crossing got pulled into I-10, one of the country's primary coast-to-coast freight corridors stretching from Santa Monica to Jacksonville. Traffic volumes climbed well beyond anything early planners projected. The lanes stayed narrow. The shoulders that were never included stayed absent. The 152-foot grade stayed exactly where it was. There was no retrofitting any of it after the fact. By the time daily crossings pushed past 90,000 vehicles, more than double the original design capacity, the bridge was still exactly what it had always been, a two-lane river crossing from another era, doing a job it was never engineered to survive. That gap between what it was built for and what it was being asked to do created danger, and it created it in more than one way. The four dangers. Most structurally troubled bridges fail in one obvious way. The Calcasieu River Bridge found four. The first is the one that keeps engineers up at night. The National Bridge Inventory gives this structure a sufficiency rating of 6.6 out of 100. Most deficient bridges in America still score above 50. The deck, the superstructure, and the substructure are all rated serious simultaneously, meaning the compounding stress is not isolated to one weak point. It runs through every critical system at once. In June 2024, a driver noticed something wrong mid-crossing, and the bridge had to shut down for emergency repairs on a failing expansion joint. In March 2026, an 18-wheeler overturned at night, diesel spread across the deck, and the structure caught fire. Longtime drivers and inspection crews share the same quiet understanding about this bridge. It moves and flexes under heavy freight in ways a modern structure simply does not. The second failure is the daily one. Between 2009 and 2011, this corridor recorded 1,240 crashes, a rate 66% above comparable multi-lane facilities across Louisiana. The bridge has zero emergency shoulders, so any stalled vehicle immediately pushes other drivers into live traffic with no buffer. The steep grade forces heavy trucks to decelerate sharply at the crest, creating speed differentials that feed directly into rear-end collisions. In February 2025, a single crash shut the bridge down for over 4 hours. The third is the one that gets serious fast. This bridge is the primary hurricane evacuation route for southwest Louisiana. When Rita hit in 2005 and Laura made Category 4 landfall in 2020, residents streamed across this exact crossing to get out. The fourth failure is the one nobody talks about enough. When a crash happens here, first responders have nowhere safe to stage. Police, paramedics, and tow operators work in live traffic lanes alongside the very incident they were called to manage. But how long should this project have to take? Decades of waiting. At some point, the people of Lake Charles stopped waiting for someone to fix the bridge and just built their lives around it. Thousands of daily commuters permanently rerouted through the Interstate 210 bypass, adding several minutes to every single trip just to avoid the Calcasieu crossing. Not occasionally, every day. Long-haul truckers making runs across I-10 reached the same conclusion after one climb over that steep, narrow span. Most of them found an alternate path the next time around and never looked back. The bridge was still there, still carrying traffic, still technically open. The community had just quietly decided it was easier to route around a problem than wait for someone to solve it. That decision to wait stretched across decades. Serious replacement discussions date back to the late 1990s. Every year the project stalled, the estimated cost climbed. Every year the structure aged further, the safety gaps widened, and the community absorbed the friction of working around infrastructure that was supposed to work for them. Meanwhile, the bridge kept collecting incidents, emergency closures, fires, multi-hour shutdowns, each one a reminder that the gap between a close call and something much worse was getting thinner. The people who could not reroute, the ones whose jobs or routes left them no choice but to cross, kept crossing, through Rita, through Laura, across a bridge rated basically intolerable because that was the crossing available to them. Here's a question worth dropping in the comments. Do you think the public-private partnership toll model was the right call for a project this long overdue? Or should the federal government have funded this outright? Either way, someone is paying for 70 years of waiting. The answer to that question shapes everything about what comes next. A replacement project unlike anything Louisiana has attempted before. The replacement. When officials finally committed to fixing this corridor, every option short of a full rebuild got ruled out. Patching the structure, widening the existing lanes, building a parallel span alongside the old one. All of it was analyzed and all of it fell short. The only answer was to start over. The result is a complete reconstruction of 5.5 miles of Interstate 10 through Lake Charles. The project rebuilds surrounding interchanges, upgrades local access roads, and adds an elevated overpass at Sampson Street to clear the train-related delays that regularly back up traffic in the area. But the bridge itself is where the most consequential changes happen. The new crossing drops the grade dramatically. That 152-foot crest that has been forcing trucks to decelerate sharply for 70 years comes down to somewhere between 75 and 95 feet. The structure expands from 4 lanes to 8, adding 3 travel lanes in each direction, auxiliary lanes for bridge entry and exit, and full emergency shoulders on both sides. The shoulder addition alone changes the daily safety equation on this corridor in ways that are hard to overstate. The construction method uses precast, pre-stressed concrete girders with cast-in-place composite decks, a design built to carry heavy freight loads across long spans while keeping river traffic moving below. Funding the project required a public-private partnership with a consortium called Calcasieu Bridge Partners, covering design, construction, financing, and long-term maintenance under a 50-year concession running through 2081. Financial close was reached in August 2024. Construction began in March 2026. Traffic is scheduled to shift to the new bridge in February 2030. Total project cost sits at $2.4 billion, the largest single transportation investment in Louisiana history. Now let's talk about what's next. What changes now? The engineering numbers are easy to point at. The lane count, the grade reduction, the shoulder addition, those are measurable, but some of what changes when this bridge opens in 2030 does not show up in a data sheet. Start with hurricane evacuations. Southwest Louisiana has now lived through 2 Category 4 storms in 15 years, both times funneling residents across a structure rated basically intolerable with no shoulders, a punishing grade, and zero margin for anything going wrong mid-crossing. The new bridge was specifically designed for Gulf Coast conditions, including hurricane loads and flooding. Full emergency shoulders on both sides mean a stalled vehicle during an evacuation does not instantly become a regional catastrophe. For a community that has already rolled that dice twice, that upgrade carries weight that goes well beyond daily traffic. Then there is the freight picture. The I-10 corridor ties together Texas, the Gulf Coast ports, the energy sector, and logistics networks that move goods across the country. A reliable, wider crossing at Lake Charles compounds in value across every year it operates. Daily traffic is projected to exceed 100,000 vehicles once the new bridge is open, more than the original structure was ever designed to carry in its entire lifetime. That kind of capacity does not just move cars faster, it keeps supply chains intact, supports the port economy, and removes a choke point that has quietly cost the region in ways that never made the evening news. But the part that data does not fully capture belongs to the people who spent years quietly rerouting their lives around a bridge that was supposed to serve them, the ones who added extra minutes to every morning commute, the ones who crossed anyway because they had no other option. A new bridge does not give those years back. What it gives them instead is a crossing they can actually trust. 70 years of close calls, deferred decisions, and a community absorbing the cost of infrastructure that was never built to last this long. All of it comes down to 5.5 miles of rebuilt corridor and a structure finally designed for the world it actually lives in. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love this next one.